Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 200, I think it's 98 of the Planet
298.
Destiny podcast. I might have called last week's episode 298. If I did, I lied.
Fair.
And I apologize about that. But we are back once again to talk about the goings-on of the Destiny 2 universe. We got a few things to talk about. We had some freelance trials go live. We're still playing a little bit of that Festival of the Lost. A thing got announced about dungeons and the price point of those things.
Yep.
We'll spend a little bit of time talking a bit about that and some other things going on. Tonight is going to be a quick and dirty episode with your two main hosts. We've got Mr. Dan Finity.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, I am the Black Link. And we'll be bringing all of that kind of stuff to you over the next 30, 40 minutes. Let's do it, baby.
All right.
How's your weekend, by the way?
So far, my weekend's been pretty good. Ginny got the booster shot on Friday, and so yesterday was a little rough on her.
Yeah.
But like today, she seems to be having a pretty good day. Namely because like she's smiling, so like that's a good sign. I got this new microphone to add to my setup, and it is much nicer. I can tuck it away and actually use my desk as a writing station if I decide to. So that's kind of fun.
Right on.
Yeah. What about you? How's your weekend?
I like the new mic. We'll get into that in a sec, but it only came with minimal issues,
Only
like
a
a
few.
weird washing machine ghost. I'm not going to take the time to explain the washing machine ghost. Just know that it exists.
Yes.
It's real, and
Also,
it can
dogs
hurt
barking
you.
like 3 houses over that way.
It's weird, man. You got a powerful microphone there. It can hear what I'm thinking. No, but my weekend's been good. It's been an all right weekend. I spent today being Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Yeah.
I installed a couple of water filters on a sink or two and a shower head. So I'm going to
Hey.
get to enjoy that when we're done with all this.
Heck yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds
It's
wonderful.
neat stuff. Got
Yeah.
to whip out the tools and do stuff. So that's always fun.
There was once a time in my life where I worked at a hardware store.
Oh,
And
really?
it was one of the most fun times I've had working anywhere. Because I got
Oh,
to
yeah?
figure shit out. Like people were like, I need this thing, or I need the ring that goes in this thing. So you're just like, okay, and we're matching all these like little O-rings to it. And
That's an O-ring, yeah.
Yeah. Like yeah.
That's a 1/4-inch O-ring. Yeah, it
Mhm.
goes on this.
It was like a mom and pop shop
Oh,
when I
yeah.
was in high school, and they did like it couldn't have been it was deceptively large how big that store
Yeah.
was. And he would purchase stuff and just stick it all over the place. So you had it really didn't have a rhyme or reason to it. It was just like
Yeah.
everywhere. And so you had to memorize the store, and it's like plumbing, what item is it? And then you have to like run around and find it.
Right. It's not like walking into an Ace Hardware and being like, all right,
Yeah.
I need PVC pipe. No, that's aisle 15.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's like, well, that might be aisle 7.5, quarter 3.
It's in the back next to the belts for lawnmowers, which is like
4.
one.
Specifically the 4.
Yeah, specifically for lawnmowers, and then like next to that is all the fasteners.
That's actually kind of fantastic. I love hardware stores because I'm in them so often to go pick stuff up. And you find a lot of weird things in hardware stores.
Yeah,
A lot of odd tools that I'm
like
still not
one-time
sure what
use
of
tools.
them do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
who would design a one-time use tool?
Kind of like Josh Hunt's Eye of Riven thing, which is something that. So today I helped a team through. I helped at least 4 people through legit Riven, their first time legit Riven.
Right?
It was a lot of fun. And like Josh Hunt made these tools. I don't know if people know about them at home, where it's like for the vault, it tells you. So it tells you, like you make the call, and then if somebody else calls it on their side, you hit the direction, and it tells you if it's ant or pin, and then holds it until you reset it each time. And then there's an eye tool that you can create a room kind of like a Jackbox party game. And once all 6 people see that, you can click on the eyes and they're different colors to denote which phase they came in. So it's like super useful.
That's rather ingenious, because I haven't even thought about taking a new player through specifically the vault phase of Last Wish in years. I couldn't imagine going in and trying to explain the Antumbra and Penumbra and all that kind of stuff going on in the vault phase.
With that tool, you don't need to. You just figure it out, and you're like, okay, I can kind of quarterback this.
Yeah.
Now that I know what's Ant and Pin.
No, that's super helpful.
Yeah.
Well, look, there you go. One-time use tools, and Dan was able to relate it to Destiny. Yeah, you send me that, because like there's people I still need to take through Last Wish, and I legit anxiety on trying to figure out how I'm gonna get them to figure out the symbols in the Riven encounter.
If you need a Sherpa buddy, let me know. That. I'm down.
Oh, absolutely, down. You're hired.
I'm
gonna hire you to come fix some animatronics too. You look like that kind of guy. Yep. Yes. I'm sorry to take it back to Nick Cage. It's called Willy's Wonderland, by the way. Go watch it. It's a goofy movie, but Nick Cage even looks like you. In this movie, he's got the beard and everything. It's phenomenal. It's great stuff. All right, what do you say we go ahead and roll this on into some Destiny topics, because we got a couple of things to talk about.
Yeah,
I think the first. Well, we'll start on a. Do you want to start on a positive note, positive-ish note, or do you want to start by ripping off the Band-Aid?
You know what? Why don't we start? Why don't we start talking about? Let's start on a positive note. Are you thinking freelance trials? Is that?
I'm thinking freelance trials.
Okay. All right.
So this week at the Bungie Weekly blog, this week at Bungie, they talked a bit about freelance trials, which is a game mode that's live right now. If you're somebody out there who's been wanting a variant of Trials of Osiris for you to play solo, only with other solo players, well, your prayers have been answered, and that game mode is live. And while I haven't had a chance to jump into Trials yet this weekend, I have paid attention to quite a lot of the buzz about it. And it seems like it's a fairly positive addition. I think most people are pretty jazzed on the notion of a freelance Trials option.
Absolutely. I'm seeing a lot of people from my Discord community saying like, hey, I went solo flawless. Like, for the first time ever. I'm seeing a lot of people post up on Twitter that they were able to get their titles done for flawless today.
Yeah.
And like, it feels like it's a fairly good thing. There are some rumblings in the background about like specifically load times for matches if you're not going stacked 3. And
because everybody's gone.
Yeah. Well, because it just raises, if a team of 3 is going against a team of 2 and everybody's doing freelance playlists, right? And you're going solo, then that takes all of the +1s out of the pool.
Exactly.
So like, you're not going to have easy match times with that. And I understand that, and I sympathize with it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't want it to dilute the pool either, if that makes sense. And it feels like, at least in part, it might be doing that a little bit.
You know, that was a conversation we had here on the first week of Trials when we were talking about how Bungie could be improving upon this game mode moving forward. The notion of a freelance Trials playlist has been a thing that the community has bandied about for a long, long time. And while I think that there is a lot of benefit to that, the fear, of course, is that it's going to split up that population where you're going to have people who are in Fireteam, and anybody who has less than 3 players to run and play Trials that weekend is just going to say, okay, we're going to go do freelance. Like, even if I've got a 2-man, you go do your thing, I'm going to go do freelance. And certainly seems like we're seeing some of that here. We're going to have to see what some of the player numbers are for this weekend in the coming days when some of those stats get put out. But I'm almost starting to wonder if this is going to be kind of like a lesser of two evils sort of choice. If you were to ask me whether or not I would take either the freelance Trials playlist or the flawless or matchmaking pool,
Right.
I would choose freelance playlist all week. I would choose it absolutely every day. Hey, disable the flawless matchmaking. Just get rid of that as a concept because that's doing the same thing, splitting off the population after Sunday rolls around. Or I would say just give us the freelance playlist. That way, people can at least just jump in on their own. And it's really hard to make an argument against the freelance playlist because of how open it is, because
Yeah.
it gives an opportunity for absolutely anybody who wants to play, whether they're in a full fire team or not, an opportunity to jump into this game mode. And I don't think freelance is going to be there next week. I think
Right.
this was just a 1 week sort of test, and
Yeah.
Bungie will decide later on whether or not they're going to be bringing it back.
It's the trials
But
lab this week.
it's the trials lab.
Yeah.
But I certainly understand the problem that this is creating for stacked fire teams, and that's not a good thing. You know, the number one thing we wanted to avoid with trials entirely was splitting up the population.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in this, it splits it like 3 times.
Yeah, we've got the normal stacked teams. You know, people who are in a fire team joining up. We've got the flawless pool, which went live today. So people who've gone flawless are already taken out of that player pool.
Yeah.
And now we have freelance where you can't join as a fire team.
Yeah.
And
does it also then split the freelance
flawless
into its own pool?
We've got subcategories, subdirectories of players here.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. That's why we're seeing mounting matchmaking times. Again, we'll have to see what some of those numbers are. Hopefully Bungie they didn't give us a lot of trials numbers in the last week. Hopefully they give us trials numbers for this, because I'd love to see how the flawless or the freelance playlist has affected that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my point is that I understand the frustrations this has clearly got to be creating for people who want to play trials in a team. It's probably incentivizing you to just run it solo.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it seems like that might be the lesser of two evils here.
Yeah. I mean, I like freelance when it comes to Iron Banner, but Iron Banner doesn't have as much at stake, right?
Right.
Like Trials has like a title attached to it, and like it feels like it has quite a bit at stake with it. And I really enjoy Tywin in chat has said I like this idea. They could do freelance maybe once a month or once a season if they find issues with the matchmaking. So like once a month. Like, well, I mean, like if you can set a cadence to it, right? So like if you set a cadence to it of like when the weekend after Iron Banner or the week after Iron Banner is freelance trials.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? And so anytime you see Iron Banner coming up, you're like, all right, I'm going to know for next week is freelance trials. That weekend I can go in and kind of chill. Or even if they if they got rid of the flawless pool, which I think is a large sticking point in the community.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
They could probably like make freelance active on Sunday and take its place.
Ooh. I think that'd be interesting. I think that would cut into, because the problem here is you don't want people who are playing with their friends saying, "Oh, well, I'd probably have a better time playing this game mode if I went solo."
That's true.
I don't need to play with you. I'd probably have an easier time getting to the lighthouse if I just go play solo. You don't want that sort of competing narrative there. So Tywin, I love the idea of having the freelance playlist be kind of like a limited time thing, and whether they do that as a once a month thing, I think Dan, you're 100% on the money. Have it share a cadence with Iron Banner, so that Iron Banner comes, and then the week after that, when Trials drops, you have the freelance playlist. I think activating it on Sunday is an interesting idea, because of course, you'd be worried about people just doing kind of what they're doing now, waiting until Sunday's flawless matchmaking pool to go live to play. People would just be waiting until Sunday to jump into the freelance playlist. But at the very least, you're still incentivizing those people who want to get their trials runs in on Saturday and Friday. You're still letting those fire teams go in and actually play the game and enjoy having a faster matchmaking time and all of that.
Yeah.
I think either of those is a really good idea. If I were to say the one that would cause the least amount of waves, I'd say be the once a month activate freelance trials. I think that's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah. Very, very sweet. I'm trying to think of what else here they've got going. They didn't announce any other changes for Trials coming
As a
up in the
matter of
next
fact,
couple weeks, right?
no, as a matter of fact, they just went on. They just confirmed that the freelance, or that the flawless matchmaking pool isn't going to be changing right now.
Yeah.
And that's something that I hope Bungie goes back on later on, because I've been saying it week after week. I don't think it's healthy for the game mode.
Well, I think the argument for them not removing it is that, like, we want to change it, and like we know that this isn't necessarily the end all be all of this conversation when it comes to Trials, but like we do, while we're going to keep it in place until we think of something better.
Right. And yeah, it's fair enough. It's fair enough until they can get that worked out. But I have seen a lot of positive feedback for the notion of the freelance Trials playlist, and I would like it if the only change they did there was maybe make it so that freelance Trials isn't always available. I think that's probably the best way to handle that.
Yeah. Austin says, "Can we mention how Telesto broke being disabled?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not completely read up on it. I just saw the headline that like Telesto can enable itself.
Mm-hmm.
How? How does this happen?
I think it only enables itself in Trials and not in PvP and Gambit. I think is the thing, right?
So in the one game mode, you specifically don't want it to enable itself.
Yep.
When are they going to sunset that weapon? Because you know it's coming.
Do you think they're going to?
I mean, it seems like there's something weird with Telesto and the game's engine.
Oh, Austin says it was in freelance only. It was only available in freelance. So
even better.
Something didn't make it too. Somebody didn't get the memo on that one.
Either way, like when Destiny 3 comes around, I wouldn't be surprised if there's no Telesto.
Yeah.
They're giving it the Pocket Infinity treatment.
Yeah. Which, question. So we were talking about the DCV in regards to, I think, what our next topic is going to be with dungeons and so forth. And we were talking a little bit about, like, do we think that Destiny will get a new engine in the next iteration of whatever it is? Because
I think so.
It seems like a lot of the issues come from this engine and them trying to, like, bring it back up to speed for like whatever activities or needs they need to have met.
Yeah, I think it might not be an entirely new engine, but I think it'll be like an iterative version. They'll probably have built a new one based on the one they've got right now, you know, which they really kind of had to rework from the ground up to create the content vault and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think Bungie's probably gonna whip out the Windows 11 version of this current engine.
So it's gonna break everybody's audio. Is that what you're saying?
It's gonna break everybody's audio. Fire teams are gonna be busted. You're not gonna have an easy way to join people.
Hey, but it's gonna look like an Apple device. So there you go.
It's gonna look like an Apple device. They'll be able to port in new stuff. But yeah, I think when D3 comes, it'll be new engine. It'll be something different than what we're playing on right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully something that makes content importing and exporting and all that kind of stuff a lot easier. Because they've mentioned they've had a lot of trouble with that.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of content that imports and exports out of the game, dungeons.
Dungeons. What about
that's a topic of conversation that I heard maybe one or two things about this week, right?
Like, I think it was like 2 days on Twitter where it was like really spicy. And like
a whole 48 hours.
I got in on the argument not understanding how spicy it was and actually like should have done some research beforehand because there were a lot of takes this week.
There are a lot of takes. So for those who might have missed out on some of this furor, I don't know how you missed out on it because it was kind of everywhere.
Good on you if you did. If this is the first time you're hearing about it, good on you.
Right. But I think Cosmo was responding to somebody on Reddit earlier in the week who was asking about dungeon and seasonal content moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And Bungie basically unveiled that, at least as of right now, the 2 dungeons that were advertised as being a part of the Witch Queen are not going to be a part of the season pass, nor are they going to be a part of the base Witch Queen purchase. They're going to be tied to purchase of the digital deluxe edition of the Witch Queen, which is $79.99 right now. Now, Bungie did go on to mention, I'll read the full statement in just a sec. They did go on to mention that they are looking at ways at adding sort of like an a la carte way for you to purchase access to those dungeons.
Right.
But as of right now, you want to play those 2 dungeons when Witch Queen comes out or whenever they come out, sometime in the seasons following. Gotta buy the $80 version of Witch Queen.
So, the thing with that is, like, I think a lot of the furor came up because, like, when you're, I'm gonna drop this in.
Yeah.
The
no, you're not, because Beardo.
Oh wait, did it not take?
Nope. Give it to me. I'll do it.
All right. Let me.
Hand it to me, baby.
Yeah, let me bop it over to you. The big thing was, so back when the announcement went through, of Witch Queen, a lot of people were excited. A lot of people were hyped up, about specifically all the content that was coming. And when they mentioned that there would be a new cadence to in-game PvE activities, there was something that people skipped.
Yeah.
And that thing that they skipped was specifically like a 5-second clip that said, these 2 new dungeons will be available when you purchase the deluxe edition. Right?
Yeah.
And so people got really excited about the cadence thing and then didn't. And when I say people, I mean me, because this is what happened to me. And I'm sure it happened to other people because, like, just based on what we saw this week. But people got upset because they were like, well, hold on. Shouldn't this be part of the season pass? And it's like, well, it kind of is. Like, if you buy the deluxe edition, because the deluxe edition comes with the season pass and like all that stuff. But like, I think the sticking point is the a la carte nature, or like the piecemealing of it a little bit, where it isn't included with the DLC necessarily, which is what historically dungeons have been tied to, like when we got Shattered Throne.
Exactly.
And when we got the
Prophecy.
Well, Prophecy's an interesting one because we got that for free.
It's free.
We got that for free for everybody, and that was during the announcement for Season of the Arrivals, right? So it's not tied to DLC necessarily.
Yep.
It's like it was kind of tied to the beginning of a season, kind of not. So I could see people being upset and confused. And like I was when I was like, this kind of just seems like a bad choice when it comes to the consumer. And as somebody who helps people through activities, it is already tough when people don't understand what comes with their DLC or what comes with the season pass.
Yep.
Like you run into that occasionally. And so this kind of piecemealing, personally, I'm not a fan of it just because of like what I do in the community. Because you're going to have people being like, oh, that dungeon looks rad as shit. I would love to run that with you. And then they got to pay
season pass?
Yeah.
No.
Then they got to pay like extra. Even like, I like that it's going to be available for a cost if you didn't get the deluxe edition. But like, there was also, but that's confusing to the consumer, I think. And
it is.
I don't know. It's just
no, it is
weird.
There's 3 different purchases tied to the Witch Queen right now. Technically 4 if you include the 30th anniversary stuff that's coming out before it. You have the base version of the Witch Queen. You have the Witch Queen season pass with the for the next couple of seasons. You have the digital deluxe edition, which contains Witch Queen, the season pass, and like a few bonus things. And then you've got the 30th anniversary Witch Queen edition, which is Witch Queen, season pass, and the 30th anniversary stuff.
Yeah, and the dungeons.
And the dungeons.
Yeah.
The dungeons go with the digital deluxe edition and above that. It's absolutely confusing to people, especially when the model that we've had thus far has shown that dungeons are either tied to the expansion itself, like Shattered Throne or Pit of Heresy with Shadowkeep, or they're tied to like a season or a season pass, as it was with Prophecy, which was free to everybody and just dropped as a part of a season. Now, I guess I should read exactly what I think it was Cosmo.
Cosmo said it. I actually have it.
Perfect.
Because it is, he said, "Hey everyone, we've seen some debate around the new dungeon content and wanted to clarify how it will be delivered next year. If you get the digital deluxe edition of the Witch Queen, you will receive the expansion, all 4 seasons of the next year, and the 2 dungeons. If you get the standard edition, you can still upgrade to the deluxe edition to get the dungeons later. We will also be offering a separate way for you to purchase the dungeons in the future, but they will not be included in the season passes. We will share more info on this closer to when this content is set to go live."
Exactly. And, I made a video about this earlier in the week, and I'll just kind of summarize my point from it. I think this is, for the most part, fine. I don't have a problem paying for dungeons. I think that being a bit of premium content, there's no issue with that whatsoever. Where I think Bungie bungled things here was the messaging. Yeah. They did mention this back, to be fair, they did mention this back when they revealed Witch Queen.
Yes.
But it was a 5-second thing. It was listed on like one quick slide, and then they didn't really make a big deal of it. It kind of slipped past most people's radar.
It is listed when you purchase it.
Yeah, exactly.
When you purchase it, it does show the 2 dungeons as separated content.
Yep. Yeah, there's a little picture of that you get when you pre-order it.
Yeah. I think it goes, Bungie is a business.
Yep.
They will always be a business.
Always, and they should be.
And as somebody who enjoys the content that they make, as somebody who makes content on the content they make, I find myself getting the deluxe edition because it saves money for me in the long haul. And it doesn't make sense to piecemeal it out. However, I think there was also an argument that was going around on Twitter that I did disagree with, or it was just like, just buy the expensive one. It's easier. Just get the expensive one out the gate. And it's like,
no,
not everybody is in the same.
Not everybody's going to do that.
Financial situation, and your lack of empathy is showing. So,
yeah, bro, just drop $80. It's fine, bro.
Yeah, I've had times in my life recently where $80 was like,
that's a lot of money.
No,
that's a lot of money.
I'm not going to spend that today. Not for that. And so I don't know. It's just super. That kind of grated on me a little bit.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, and that's how I felt. That was my point in my video, is that I'm perfectly fine paying for this content.
Yeah.
I think it's fine for them to charge for dungeons. I was gonna buy either the digital deluxe edition, which is $80, or the $99 one for the 30th anniversary. I was likely going to buy that edition either way. My issue here is 2 things. One, Bungie's messaging on this, not good. Their messaging wasn't great. It wasn't clear. It is fair to say that they did announce this before.
Yes.
They did not emphasize it. And when it's something like this, that's different from how things have been before. Because remember, previous dungeons were either free or tied to the expansion itself. They should have taken more of their time to list that out in a clearer manner, not just say it real quick and then move on from there. That's my problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that it is an $80 purchase.
Yeah.
This is a $79.99 purchase. And right now, currently speaking, as of today, October 24th, 2021, the only way to get access to those dungeons is to fork over $80.
Yeah.
That's to everybody saying, just buy the digital deluxe edition. No,
that's not.
That's not an argument that everybody's going to be able to do. That's not something that everybody's going to be able to take. There was
also something along the line, I still think they should have been like, hey, highlighted, like, this is what you get with the digital deluxe edition, especially especially when they talked about that cadence, because that would make your consumer more informed to purchase on day of.
Exactly.
Which is what a lot of people do. A lot of people like
yeah.
bought on the day because of the hype.
Yep. Because
and
of the
like,
hype.
Yeah. And like there are people who are point of pride folks who like purchase stuff as soon as it's announced or released or whatever. And that's all good and fine. But like for the general consumer who maybe doesn't even listen to a podcast like this, right? Because even the people that listen to content about the game or YouTube content, you guys are in a very select audience for the game.
You're the elite, baby.
Yeah, you're part of it.
You're the 1% of the 1% that actually listens to podcasts about this game.
Right. And so for John Layman, it might not be as clear, and definitely wasn't as broadcast.
Look at the response to this. It absolutely wasn't as clear for the vast majority of people who kind of got that news over the course of the week. And I think for an instance like this, like I said, I'm perfectly fine with paying this price. I think until Bungie had an a la carte method of purchasing this sort of content piecemeal in place, I think they probably would have been better off just leaving it tied to the season pass. Yeah. Just leave the dungeon tied to the season pass. Shoot, if you want to charge $5 more for the season pass, I think that probably for messaging purposes. I think that until you had an a la carte method, I think that probably would have gone over better with people. Because again, right now I had a conversation with somebody who responded to my video this week who was who took particular umbrage with the way I phrased it. I said these dungeons are currently locked behind the digital deluxe edition purchase, and he was like, no, you should. It's not fair to say that it's locked behind there. To which I responded, how else do you buy it right now?
Yeah.
What other manner is there to buy these two dungeons?
Yeah.
Well, Bungie said they're going to put an a la carte method. Can you use that a la carte method right now?
No.
Is it tied to the season pass right now? No, you can only get it with the digital deluxe edition. Okay, so it's tied to a $79.99 purchase. Yeah. And that's not great messaging.
Yeah.
So again, just to clarify, I know I'm repeating myself here, but I really want to make it clear. I'm fine paying for this content. Yes. I'm already going to pay for this content. Like I said, I'm probably going to buy the $100 Witch Queen 30th anniversary pack because 30th anniversary is coming up real soon.
I already have it. I purchased it. That money has been spent. It is out the door. I'm getting that content. I was always going to get that content because I like this franchise and I like the game.
Yeah. And I'm perfectly happy spending money on that content. And I think it's perfectly fair for Bungie to ask for money for that sort of premium content. I don't think the messaging around this particular thing was handled very well. No. And therein lies my issue.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. That just... I love Bungie. I love Bungie. I want communication to be a little bit clearer. But at the same time, I've also been at previous jobs where you're like, isn't this clear enough? Like, didn't we like explicitly say this a couple of times?
You showed this.
Like, and
show it again.
As somebody who's at a library that requires masks to be worn, and there is a large sign posted outside the door, people don't read. So like, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. So I don't know. I hope they didn't have too much thrown their way, at least for the community team. But like, it could have been a little more like highlighted, I guess.
Bring it up in a swap,
Yeah.
Talk about future dungeon content and that these two other dungeons currently aren't a part of the season pass.
Right.
Spend a little bit more time to clarify that, because it'd be like talking about a raid that's coming and then saying, "Oh yeah, but you can only do the raid if you got the digital deluxe edition."
Well,
but that's usually a part of the expansion.
Yeah, this also raises that question, right? Like, I think, when you start talking about dungeons, when you start talking about that content going, as an a la carte option,
tell them, Dan. Tell them.
Raids are then on the table. I think, right?
I hope you guys are ready for the Retro Raid Pack. You can get access to the Leviathan and the Eater of Worlds for an additional $29.99.
Well, and I've like that's one of the things that like I'm not entirely against, I guess.
I'm not either.
I think because like, and I mentioned this last week with Borderlands, right? You can buy the content that you want to play.
Yeah.
And you own it and you're able to play it regardless, right? But it's its own separate SKU, it's its own separate thing that tags into your game. Bungie, I think at this point, clearly didn't build it that way.
Yeah.
And Mr. Woodhouse, when I had posted about like how I wasn't entirely a huge fan of this decision, he was like, I wonder what statistics they're viewing that make them see this as like a viable course. Like how many people are actually engaging with those in-game activities that would make them then go, you know what? It's only this segment of the population. Maybe if they want it, they can grab that, right?
Right.
And another thing that I'm fearful of is that like you pick these up, right? Say you don't get the digital deluxe edition.
Yeah.
You get a dungeon 3 months before it hits the DCV.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're able to purchase it a la carte. It would still, like, if it's still the same cost as it is 3 months before, you're running into the same issue that they've had with saying, hey, Forsaken's going to go free to play 3 months before it goes into the vault. However, you're still paying.
You're still paying that full price.
DLC. Unless, like, you can find it somewhere like GOG or, on sale somewhere.
And that was the final sort of caveat to the whole dungeon thing right now, that dungeons are content that are that's subject to being put in the content vault. If Bungie's going to be continuing on with this whole DCV sort of thing, is that dungeon that we're paying extra for going to be subject to going into the vault? Are we going to be losing access to more content that we paid for? I see Heimer in the chat talking a bit about rebuying past content, which, by the way, Diesel, I'm sorry, brother, but I get the feeling it's going to happen. Like they're going to reoffer Leviathan in some paid pack sometime in the future. I think that is going to be a thing that happens. But if we're going to be continuing with this whole vaulting of content, it's a lot harder to me to justify charging a premium price for that content. Like, why would I be paying for this dungeon if it's going to be taken away from me at some point in time in the future? You know, we had that sort of issue with Prophecy when Prophecy got taken away for a little bit, and everybody lost their minds, as they should have. But that was free.
Well, that was a free dungeon. Mm-hmm. That was a cherry. That wasn't the sundae. That was a cherry on top of the sundae.
True.
And so, like, that going away, and then with the promise of it coming back, I had no issue with. Was it dry during the amount of time that, like, the Prophecy was gone? I mean, a little, but you also were able to run all of the raids previous. That's true. With higher drop rates.
They were doing the whole raid thing,
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. It's such a weird... I don't want to say slippery slope. I don't want to say anti-consumer. I don't want to say predatory. Like, in those, like,
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just this weird middle space that I just want the communication to be clear in the future.
Absolutely.
And they're going to I think they're going to have to confront the DCV kind of like how they confronted sunsetting weapons at some point.
They're going to have to.
Yeah. So,
and it's going to be a weird sort of thing. I know, let's explore this topic a little bit in terms of the DCV and something that we talked about with Sutlage last week, actually. That Borderlands sort of theory of available DLC. You buy what you want and play the chapters and whatnot that you want. I would not be surprised if in the future Bungie starts offering some things like that. Like they mentioned that they're going to be having a retro raid come back. We don't know what that retro raid is.
It's going to be a big one. So it'll either be Wrath or it'll be King's Fall. It'll be one of those two.
I think there's a possibility it's Leviathan.
Possibly? You think so?
Yeah, I think there's a possibility it's Leviathan, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of that content comes back. But in the future, like if we know that Bungie is putting a concerted effort towards taking D1 content and classic content and bringing it back to the game.
Yeah.
They mentioned this before, that they want to bring essentially all the relevant D1 content back. I wouldn't be mad if they like put out, say, a Siva DLC pack where you can go back and you can do Wrath of the Machine and get access to like 1 or 2 strikes from that, and made it so that people who purchase that can play that content. You don't have to purchase it, but it just means you don't get access to that. Just the same way Borderlands does, the same way Call of Duty used to do with DLC packs for different maps and whatnot. But when it comes to that sort of idea with the Destiny content vault, they're gonna have to stop vaulting things eventually.
Like,
because you run into that issue of paid content being taken away from people again.
But this also then goes back into our previous conversation about the engine, about what they use. Specifically, Austin brought this up in my chat earlier, where he was like, take a look at like Payday 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Payday 2,
fun game.
They kept releasing stuff and adding 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 stuff to the point where it started breaking the game.
It broke
in very simple ways. And I can see them looking at something like that and being like, we shouldn't do that. Like, if we keep adding, we're going to break things in significant ways, and that would impact players, and that would be a worse situation, I think, in many ways than taking content away. Now, content hurts. Content being taken away hurts because you paid money for it, because you have value, you have ownership, and you are entitled to ownership of that.
Yeah,
in my opinion, if you purchase something, but
absolutely,
they then need to address that and be like, here's how we're going to make it right for the people who own this material.
Yeah, and I wonder how they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's such an odd thing with the limitations that they've got with the engine right now and the game that they're currently working with, without moving on to a Destiny 3 where hopefully these issues wouldn't be a cause of concern. It's going to be really interesting to see how they handle the Destiny content vault moving forward, both in taking away content from the game and bringing content back. Because they mentioned that they do want to bring that. They mentioned that with the Destiny content vault, that their ultimate goal was to take out lesser played content, less used content, rework it so that it works better in their new game engine, and then cycle it back in on kind of a scheduled availability. And so I assume that we'll be getting a lot of that content back in a different form at some point in time in the future. But the entire notion of a Destiny content vault versus new content coming to the game, it's just such a weird thing. It's such an, I don't know if I've ever played another game that actively had this sort of removal of content. Usually it's issues where they'll remove content once to rework the game from the ground up. I famously always use the Final Fantasy XIV reference here on the show, where they vaulted the entirety of the original game and then worked with it to rebuild it and brought some bits of it back piecemeal in an entirely new creation in A Realm Reborn. But they only ever did that once. They never took content away from the game after that. They just continued adding on. And I wonder how Bungie's going to handle this moving forward. I have no idea.
Yeah. And I don't envy them at all.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
It's weird to think about, man, but I wonder what they're going to do with some of that new and returning content.
Yeah.
I wonder how they'll have to handle it.
I think another lesson here, though, is in part for the community as well. When it comes to information and how it spreads and how you react to it. And I know that that's something that I've been trying to work on as well. And it's like, on this one, I should have done my research a little bit more in the past, like about what exactly was said about this prior to even posting anything. But it's easier just to shoot off a hot take than it is to actually go back and do the research. Yeah.
So it's always good to do the due diligence, make sure you have the full story move forward there. But that that isn't to say that there isn't stuff to legitimately be concerned about.
Yeah.
I think we listed a lot of that here.
Yeah. Somebody commended me on like seeing what I was what I had said wrong and correcting myself, I was like, I'm a shit journalist. It's
it's a sad day when that statement of you being able to see what you did wrong and correct it means you're a shit journalist.
Look, man, I'm a shit. I didn't do my research beforehand. I should have done my research beforehand. I apologize for it. I did keep the original tweet up because I added an update to it and everything. But I think it is like a little bit of an education of like, okay, sometimes you get things wrong and you have to swallow that pride and you have to you have to be like, I was wrong on this. And here's all the footsteps that you can take to me getting to that point.
Yeah. But I don't think you get what I'm saying here.
Oh, no, I don't, probably.
All that stuff you just said about being able to correct the record and all of that and put out the thing, even leaving up the original tweet and just putting an update down there, that makes you phenomenally better than 99% of journalists out there. The good journalists are the ones who shot off the hot takes and didn't check anything. You are better than all of them. Being able to correct that, being able to be accurate and all that makes you a shit journalist because most journalists suck these days. I was giving you a compliment, brother.
Well, I mean, journalist, lawyer, they're all the same thing. I kid. Don't come after me.
All the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be something we have to deal with moving forward. It's going to be real weird though, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. The only other thing that I can think of to talk about before we start getting in audience questions, which we have a few. We have a few audience questions. So rewards.
Oh yeah. Astral alignment.
Buddy.
Sorry to just rip the Band-Aid off there. Yeah.
I yearn for the days of Expunge. Like the Expunge is still more rewarding than Astral Alignment right now.
It is.
And yeah, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to the legendary Astral Alignment that released this week.
So, of course, we're talking about the enhanced difficulty modes that dropped for Astral Alignment and for the Shattered Realm missions, both of the seasonal activities tied to the ongoing story. Now, we talked a bit about this before those went live. Like when we learned about these modes coming, you and I specifically, Dan, talked about, oh, okay, I like this. I like when they add an enhanced difficulty game mode for this stuff. It was fun when they did it with Menagerie.
Yeah.
But our point was, then as it is now, you gotta give me a reason to actually run that content. And when it comes to Legendary Astral Alignment, there's no reason to run it.
You get an extra chest.
You get one extra. Worth it, Dan.
Yeah, inside is 2 tokens and a blue.
The most rewarding seasonal activity in Destiny's history.
Actually, the most rewarding thing along the way is all the friends that you make when trying to team up for a Legendary Astral Alignment
before being sent back to orbit.
Yeah.
You know, it's not worth it to me. I haven't done a Legendary Astral Alignment yet because when I read the rewards of one additional chest, I thought, oh,
yeah,
one more shard, because it's not an additional chest with, like, say, a better perk pool or a wider range perk pool. If Legendary Astral Alignment guaranteed that the weapons and whatnot that drop from it had double stat options, like perk options in every category, I'd run it. I think I'd run it to get an opportunity for that, like a guaranteed opportunity, but it's not. It's just an extra reward, and it's not really worth the hassle. And I kind of feel the same way about the Legendary Shattered Realms. So I've soloed both of the currently available Legendary Shattered Realms. We got one more next week, and I did it just to complete the Triumph Challenge for it.
Right.
But both times, I think both of them took me about 30 minutes to get done solo. At the end of each one, I quite literally sat back to myself as I pulled that Techian back into our reality. I sat back and said, "Why did I do this?" It's like, why did I do this? I could have just run the regular one and gotten some of the normal rewards. Why did I do this?
Well,
and that's not what you want at the end of these activities.
And it's just so confusing because in last season you got Expunge, right? You got the expunge missions, and then you got a difficulty to the expunge missions. Or no, you got a difficulty to the expunge missions. Then you also got the corrupted keys, right?
The keys
that you could then turn in for high stat armor.
Yeah. Or double perk pool weapons.
I want that.
There was a reason to do it.
I want that as standard. And like it's confusing seeing that go from one season to the next and it can like miss.
It's like what happened? Because man, like when we unlocked Corrupted Expunge, I would go and run the Tartarus run over and over and over again because it was quick to get done and it was worthwhile. I was getting you get a bunch of seasonal currency for it.
It's still worthwhile.
It's more worthwhile than Legend Astral Alignment and Legend Shattered Realm.
Yes.
Go run Expunge Corrupted Tartarus. You get way better rewards doing that than you do running the Astral Alignment. And I don't understand. I don't understand.
It should be the rule and not the exception.
Absolutely.
And Bungie has done a lot of really good work over the last year, standardizing different mechanics, different like things that you can, how you get rewards in the game. Like, look at all of our vendors.
Yeah,
they've standardized them for the most part, and it's the reward structure. Then I think is the next thing that they need to do, is be like, okay, if we add like an extra layer of difficulty to something, you're going to have a corrupted chest and you're going to have a corrupted key, and that will give you higher stat armor over 63.
Those bonus rewards.
Yeah.
It just seems like such a simple thing that that they had already done with the expunge missions that I wish they would have done with Astral Alignment here, just to give it that extra little oomph, because it's a long activity. It's a long activity, and it gets longer when you're on Legend.
We finished that Riven legit, right? Mm-hmm. That took a while, but like we had like 4 people who had never even encountered Riven, or 2 people who had never encountered Riven before, 2 people who've never done it legit, or 4 people who've never done it legit, and like trying to remember it also from like, okay, and then we drop. Oh no, we go up the elevator and then yeah. I understand, but like we had all of that going, and then we were like, you know what? I've only got like 45 minutes left to stream. Like, we'll do an Astral Alignment, a Legendary Astral Alignment to help anybody who needs it still, because I think you do need to run it once for like a challenge, for like a seasonal challenge or something.
Triumph or whatever.
And that took 45 minutes. No, that took 50 minutes. It went past the end of my stream.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, because it just
not rewarding.
Not worth it time-wise.
Like Diesel here in the chat, I think sums it up perfectly. He says, "Did it with my clanmates, and we were just frustrated by it and felt no sense of accomplishment afterwards. Right. Very disappointing." That's how I felt at the end of the Legend Shattered Realms. Like, I don't know why I did this. Yeah. Like, I could have spent 30 minutes doing anything else.
Well, so anything. You'll know in the future, TBL. Just do expunges.
Yes, just go run expunge.
Just run expunge.
You're right.
Get good shit.
You're right.
Get good shit out of expunge.
Go run it corrupted. You know what? That's a PSA to everybody listening to this show. Stop what you're doing right now. Go run Corrupted Expunge. It's more worthwhile.
Do it.
And it's fun.
Yeah, it's great. I love Corrupted Expunges.
I dig them. I like them. I like them a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, that was mainly it. I think we hit the big things today.
Well, all right. I mean, it's time for audience questions.
I believe so. So
let's do it.
The first question, out the gate. Austin, 8 or V2 games? Question for both of you. From the TWAB, what do you think they are going to change or buff to Whisper of the Worm? Now, that was mentioned in the final paragraph of this week's TWAB. Yeah. I know I have said if they make it special, it would make it better, but I want to hear your thoughts for this.
So I'm of two minds when it comes to this sort of thing. I know what they could do, and I know what they'll likely do. What they could do is they could restore its original ability.
Yeah.
So that it infinite ammo so long as you're landing or crit shots, but leave it as a heavy weapon. I think there's enough variance in encounters now that basically sitting back with a sniper and just sniping crit shots isn't the number one way to get everything done nowadays. There are other strats. There's all kinds of crazy things you can do for damage right now, between a bunch of different weapons. I think that's the less likely option, though. I don't think Bungie's going to do that. I think what's much more likely is they're going to up its amount of reserve ammo and then make it a special weapon.
Yeah.
I think that's far more likely. Either of which would be a good change. Like, Whisper right now is garbage. It's garbage because they nerfed it into the dirt. And so I think either of those things would be more than acceptable.
Yeah. I mean, like, so I've seen the argument to make it a special. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, like, fine, but like, I don't know. I could almost see them giving it like an innate perk over anything. Like, keep it as it is, but it's like, oh, now it's anti-barrier all the time, or
ooh, I like that.
Something along those lines. But
maybe make it a universal, since it's an exotic.
Yeah,
and using it means you have to take off Vex Mythoclast.
Yeah.
So maybe make it so that like Whisper has all the qualities of all three. It's anti-barrier, it can stop an unstoppable in their tracks, and it shuts down overloads.
Ooh.
That'd be interesting.
I like that. I like that a lot.
That'd be neat.
I think it's just like, I don't know. I like that gun a lot. It was one of those that had its day in the sun.
Yeah.
And I think continues to.
Or like, at least in our hearts.
Yeah, at least in our hearts. And while I want it to be back in its full glory, there's also they're adding more stuff to the game. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I think there's a lot of options that they could. There's a lot of viable exotic options right now. Like there's a lot of different things you can do. And so I think Whisper is more than deserving of a bit of a buff. I really doubt they would just undo the changes and leave it as a heavy weapon. No. I think Bungie I think Bungie would be afraid of the Divinity Whisper strats moving forward, even though, there are other things that are working really well right now. Like I wonder if Whisper would be able to out DPS a particle decon 1,000 voices. I wonder about that. Or a particle decon merciless.
Yeah.
Good lord. Particle decon merciless on a boss right now is just...
I haven't done that.
Woo!
I haven't done that one yet. 1K is
naughty.
Saucy, though. 1K is very saucy.
It's good. But I think what's far more likely is they leave it so that it can't have infinite ammo, which... but they just bump up its reserve ammo and make it a special.
Yeah.
By the way, do that with Darcy too.
Hey, my ex-wife.
Yeah, the ex-wife.
Yeah, let's see here. We have a question from C Pratt 22. It was a question about like, would you guys, or he said, why don't they just make it do a subscription based content then? Pay $10 a month and get all access and content for stuff. So based on that comment, would you pay for a subscription to Destiny if it was like, say it's like $5 a month for access to for access to everything, and $10 a month for access to everything, and like some Eververse items or like transmog stuff?
So this is a topic that's come up before, and I've got some interesting thoughts on it. I think even Paul Tassi brought the notion of this sort of thing up over the course of the week after the whole dungeon thing initially dropped. Now, I'm going to relate it to normal MMOs, because that's how a lot of MMOs work. You pay a monthly subscription to get into that content. I don't think Destiny has enough content to warrant a monthly subscription.
Okay.
I don't. I don't think there's enough content in the game to warrant it the same way that a game like Final Fantasy XIV, you pay $12 to $15 a month based on the type of sub you want to have to get access to that game. That game's got such a huge amount of content in it that you could do something different every week for a month and not overlap content there. You don't have that sort of thing with Destiny. And unless Bungie was introducing stuff on a much higher cadence than what they are right now, I couldn't justify spending the standard $15 a month for Destiny.
Yeah.
Now, Paul Tassi brought up the notion of something similar to what ESO does. ESO is an MMO, Elder Scrolls Online, where you buy the base game and then that's it. There's no monthly subscription. There is an optional monthly premium pack that you can buy. I think it's called ESO Plus, where buying that is actually kind of a phenomenal service. Buying ESO Plus and paying the monthly subscription on ESO gives you access to all the DLC, meaning you don't have to spend $40 on the DLC packs. You get access to all of the DLC. You get a bunch of bonus cash shop rewards every single month, and a couple of other benefits like bonus item space. I guess if we were to relate that to Destiny, it'd be like bonus vault space or something like that. That model is interesting. I think that could potentially work with Destiny. I wouldn't pay $15 a month for it.
Right.
Like, I think your price point of $5 a month, I think that would work if it gave you some auxiliary benefits like extra item space, extra vault space, and free stuff every single month. And maybe the most I'd pay is $10 a month. But if it was $10 a month, you'd have to be giving people Eververse stuff. It'd be like I think if it was $10 a month, you pay that sub, you get access to all the DLC, and you get like a bunch of Eververse rewards in addition to the Prime stuff every month. I think that's the only way that would work. But if you were to ask me if I'd want that in Destiny, I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's just not enough content to warrant it, in my opinion.
But the interesting thing has been seeing people break down their time versus the money they've spent.
Yep. It's a great cash value.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge cash value in Destiny. It's just, yeah. So it goes. I think as it works out now, it's like less than $5 a month to play Destiny.
Oh yeah, like Destiny is an incredible purchase. You're getting a lot of value for the price tag that's attached to it. I don't think anybody could argue that in good faith.
Right.
It could work, but you know, they'd have to give you a lot of stuff to make it worthwhile.
Pins Halo asks, do you think that the change in how they handle dungeons are because Eververse is not performing as well as they thought it would? Dude, people purchase stuff from Eververse all the time. I think the change in how they handle dungeons, maybe in part because of how Eververse performs, but I don't think it's a negative of how Eververse performs.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I think we saw some of the stats from Eververse not too long ago. They make a lot of money.
A lot of money.
They're
adding on to that studio. They're doubling their workforce. Like,
they're making a lot of money off of Eververse purchases and season pass purchases. So I don't think that's a limiting factor for Bungie. I think they're making plenty of money there.
Yeah.
I think the dungeon thing is probably just because they're adding more workload and they're looking for future ways to monetize that. And yeah, it makes sense. You know, it's premium content. I don't mind paying for it.
Yeah. And yeah, dungeons. I love raids. I love helping people with raids, but dungeons are kind of the most accessible in-game PvE content in the game right now. When it comes when it comes to reward and mechanic and all that stuff, like Prophecy alone, like they gave that to you for free, and it's pretty impressive. Let's see here. We have Gray Fox. During the seasonal lull, what activities barring SRL would you like to come back to fill that time? Siva Strikes? Walking to the past seasons, aka Warcraft method?
No Siva Strikes, please. There were only a few, and they were mostly really bad, especially one. There was one really, really wretched eye. Worst strike in the history of Destiny. Don't need that back. Absolutely not. Never again. Never forget. As for other content, I mean, I don't really think Destiny struggles too much in that regard. I think even during lull periods, which I'd say right now is probably a lull period.
Yeah,
Um,
and we're going to
and
see that
I
for a while.
yeah, we're gonna until the 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
So for this next month, you're gonna see lull period. But I'd love to see SRL come back. But I think right now, as long as they continue introducing exotics that you can chase with like Legend Lost Sectors, I think that was one of the smartest things they did. Because anytime I just feel like playing Destiny and I don't have anything in particular to do, that's what I do. I go run Legend and Master Lost Sectors to get exotic rolls. I think that was a great change. I think
Mm-hmm.
they should expand upon that system.
Yeah.
Um, in the future. But I'd love to see SRL come back. I think that's great.
Yeah.
More strikes is always nice.
Yeah. I mean, SRL was fun. SRL is a lot of fun. I would love to see it. I would love to see it added in. But then again, I'm saying this in a world where they need more PvP maps. So
they do. We need a lot more PvP maps.
While I want that content back, I understand that there is a need in another portion of that game. So, let's see here. Next question coming from Tywin. Should some of the raid weapons currently available have slight role changes like the Garden of Salvation weapons, but with some updates?
Yes.
I would love to see that. I would love to see them update those raids, especially if they're sticking around for foreseeable future. But are we going to? Maybe not.
I'd love to see them go Age of Triumph with that. Mm-hmm. I feel like every year we say this no less than 300 times. I'd love to see them go the Age of Triumph route where it's like every week there's in addition to the currently viable raid, which is Vault of Glass, every week you cycle out one of the other raids as a weekly featured raid you can do for Pinnacle rewards as well. So you can run Vault of Glass for Pinnacle, since that's the current content raid, and you can run one other raid every week for Pinnacle rewards, and then reintroduce those raid weapons with new perks. Yeah. It worked in D1. Why not here?
Yeah, that would be super neat. I'm trying to think, like, even if they were to like, what if they added like modes of light back in, right? Okay, so you get modes of light, and you're able to re-roll the weapon with one specific, like by adding something into its loot pool from outside of the weapon. Like, say from like a choice of 5 perks, you get to re-roll with a mode of light into that, and that becomes part of the raid ritual thing.
I'd run raids to get motes of light so that I could re-roll weapons. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something we can look forward to in the future. We know there's going to be at least some kind of limited form of weapon forging when Witch Queen drops. Like maybe that's going to be a part of it. That'd be phenomenal. That'd be another great reason to run stuff every week. You run it to get you can kind of curate your god rolls.
Final question of the night, coming from Desmeraldo. If you had to be in control of everything, so I'm guessing at gunpoint, if you had to be in control of everything, Bungie gives you all the power. Now I'm just picturing. I'm picturing.
Fix our game. Fix it.
I'm picturing all the staff of Bungie just going, fix it.
Fix it. Uh-oh.
Which do you think you could change for the better? Trials or Iron Banner?
Ooh.
Which of the two?
That's an interesting question. I got a little bit of a cheat for an answer. Bungie's already figured out a big fix for Trials of Osiris. They've already mostly fixed that game mode. They just need to take away the flawless matchmaking pool and maybe leave freelance. And I think we go back to the first week of revamped Trials, which was nearly perfect. So, so given that logical thinking, I'm going to say we completely revamp Iron Banner. If those are my only two options.
Yeah. And even then, you don't need to completely revamp it. You just need to add more game modes into.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be control.
It doesn't need to always be control. It can be other stuff. Supremacy.
Give it a depths.
I miss Supremacy.
Add Supremacy. Yeah.
I miss Supremacy quite a bit. I'm probably in the minority here. And there's probably some people.
Me too.
There's probably some people in chat who are like, the fuck is Supremacy? And I'll tell you,
what
it was a really fun game mode that they ran into the ground the first year of Destiny
for some strange reason. They decided everybody needed to hate that.
Yeah. Oh, you want to play quick play?
Yeah.
Control, Supremacy, Clash, Supremacy, Supremacy, Clash, Supremacy.
Yeah, I think I think add in some new game modes for Iron Banner. Make Lord Saladin's inventory reflect the same sort of thing that the other vendors got, so that he's got a track for upgrading there. And add in adepts.
Yeah.
There you go. I think Iron Banner's good. And Trials, just get rid of the flawless playlist and add freelance and get us back to where we were during week 1 and you're good.
Put the safety back on, Luke Smith. I think we fixed it.
Yeah, we got it. Lower your weapon. We got it. But all right, was that the last question?
Final question of the evening.
That's the final question of the evening. Well, all right, I do believe that brings us to the end of episode 298 of the Planet Destiny podcast. I think you and I got through this one pretty well.
You know what? We did a damn good job. Pat yourself on the back and pretend that it's me behind you.
Oh, that feels good.
Yep. See?
Thanks, man.
It's good. I moisturized today. Bro.
Oh, yeah. This man. No crocodile hands for you. I dig it.
Not for me. Not until the winter.
I dig it. Oh, when it gets real cold. Hey, look at that. Handled the show. We don't even need Nim. Somebody call Nim. Tell him
Who's
we don't
Nim?
We're kidding. We love you, buddy. But all right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in tonight. This has been a pretty fun one. Hopefully we covered all the biggest topics you care about for this week. But of course, before we get on out of here for the evening, we are going to let you know where you can find us all across the internet, starting with Mr. Danfinity.
Oh, hello. Fucking weird. Hi, my name is Danfinity. You can find me three nights a week, twitch.tv/Danfinity, where I help you with PvE content.
Yeah.
We're going to have... I got my commission in from Moorbird. We're having Year of Titan shirt made to commemorate the year where I had to be a Titan as my main for a year, so that's pretty neat. You can find me on Twitch, on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are L's. I swear to you, I will be working on content for those this week. And outside of that, that's pretty much it, I think. I need to dial this bad boy in, because clearly it is not wanting to play well with Audacity. So
it's still hunted with a washing machine ghost. We gotta get Mystery in there to separate your darks from your light clothes.
Can I tell you about a nightmare I had before we go?
Oh, please do.
Okay.
It's a spooky time of year.
So I had this nightmare the other night where Ginny and I, this wasn't even part of the dream. It was just part of like the backstory of that dream, where Ginny and I went to her parents' house and did laundry, and we got in an argument while we were there. I don't remember that part of the dream. I just remember the bad feelings, And then we went home, we went down to our dryer, unloaded all the stuff out of the dryer to put the new stuff in, and there were spiders in the old dryer stuff, right? So we rushed them upstairs and then had to beat our laundry to kill all the spiders. And then I woke up in sweat. Just a lot of sweat.
Oh, no, not my delicates.
It was a bad time.
Listen, they were just replacing the fabric of your clothing with silk, man. They were Egyptian spiders. They were there giving you that perfect thread count, man.
Yeah.
That sounds horrifying. If I opened up my washer and like it was filled with spiders, I wouldn't have a washer.
No, you burn that house to the ground. That's the answer.
Yeah, I'd have a smoldering crater that used to clean clothes. Maybe that's the ghost that's been haunting your microphone.
Possibly. I don't know. Maybe it's the spider you killed on stream that one time.
I still see the spot where I punched him. It's all coming back.
It's all circular.
In the spooky time of year. It's all circular. It all comes back to this.
Well, TBL, where can people find you on the internet, good sir?
Oh, maybe not here if there's a ghost of a spider in a washing machine hunting the hosts of this. You know what? Nim had some problems with like a washing machine this week, didn't he?
Oh yes, I saw that post.
He had some problems with a washing machine or something like that this week. The spirit of Juan Carlos is here. Oh no. Oh no. It's like, I know what you did last summer. It's picking us off one by one. No, not me. You're not getting me. I live in Florida. There's Florida man all over the place. He might not cause anything good to happen, but something bad's going to happen to you, spider washing machine ghost.
You're sitting at your desk, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting at your desk. All of a sudden, some plane tickets hit your desk, right? And they're from yesterday.
Where am I going?
They're from yesterday. And you look up, and there's a non-corporeal being in the corner of the room.
A floating washing machine with a spider hanging out of it. I remember you, bitch. I remember you. What sort of cursed Scooby-Doo Freddy Krueger nightmare is this, man?
I don't know, but if we take its mask off, it's probably the sheriff.
It's old man McCready every time. Every time. Oh my goodness. I'm the Black Link. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at the Black Link. We finally got our work schedule kind of settled out, so I might be having some time to do some live streams in the mornings. Usually we do those from anywhere from about 10:30 to 11 o'clock a.m. until about 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully we'll have some time for that. Of course, all the news videos are going to be going up on the Planet Destiny YouTube channel at youtube.com/Planet Destiny. Make sure you stay tuned for all of that. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for episode 298 of the spookiest Planet Destiny podcast we have ever had. I'm going to go pray over my washing machine now and hope that there is no darkness. There's no dark stains on the clothes of my future. Thanks so much for tuning into the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to This Week in Destiny. We'll see you all next week.